So, my thoughts on the Detroit Lions at the end of the season. Obviously, the NFL season just ended and playoffs are just now starting up as I'm recording this video. My thoughts on the Detroit Lions were they actually had a better season to me than what I thought they were going to have. Let me say this right off the bat. Dan Campbell is a great head coach, in my opinion. Without him, I feel like this Lions team wouldn't have had these, would have done better without him, honestly. The fact that the Lions competed every game, it felt like, and most of their games were usually close within one score. When you look at their schedule, I feel like the Lions had a lot of chances where they could have had a better record. Honestly, I think when you look at the whole scope of things, the Lions realistically could have had a record of like 7-10. And that's just because there are a lot of close scores where, they had the tie with the Steelers. They were winning against the Packers earlier on their second game of the season. And their first game of the season, they only lost by 8 points to the 49ers. And while the Lions were beating the Packers in the first half in their second game, they lost to a game-winning field goal by the Ravens in their third game, where their kicker, I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. I think it's not Justin Tucker, is it? I don't know if that's... I might be right, who knows? But I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. But the Ravens kicker hit a record... what do you call it? He now holds the record for the farthest field goal attempt in NFL history, and that was a game-winning field goal. So if he wouldn't have hit that, the Lions would have won. And then they lost to the Vikings, which, by the way, was another game-winning field goal. So, I mean, there you see a lot of these games, they tied to the Steelers, like I said before. They lost to the Bears by 2. They lost to the Browns by 3. There's a lot of these games where they had so many chances to win, and sometimes it felt like they were just kind of unlucky. But there were times where it was like, excuse me, sorry. There were many times where you feel like the Lions were a better team than what I would have thought and what many people would have thought. And this Lions team, I feel like, is literally the worst roster put together in the league, and yet they did way better than expected. Most people thought they weren't even going to get a win because of how bad their roster was. But the fact to me, if a head coach can make your team compete on a week-to-week basis like the Lions did, that shows great respect to Dan Campbell, and I like what he's doing so far as his first year as the Lions head coach. Second, Jared Goff actually had a pretty decent season. There were times where, he was Jared Goff, where he's pretty inconsistent, and there's times where you're just like, what are you doing, man? But he had a pretty decent season for a quarterback, I mean, you can't really complain. And honestly, if the Lions want to use him as a quarterback for the next couple seasons until his contract is up, I really wouldn't be that mad about it. Really, I think what the Lions should focus on right now is every other aspect of their team besides Jared Goff. If they can wait to just build the team these next couple years, the defense and the offense, and they can win with Jared Goff. I don't think they'll get to a Super Bowl, but I think they can win with him and actually play great football. And I think the Lions are going to do that. And, I think this is the first time in my life where I feel good about the Lions, which is crazy to say. Most of my life, knowing the Lions, they were always known as a terrible football franchise. And now, just seeing what they've done this whole season, I feel like was kind of a success. They also got the second pick in the draft. They have a quarterback that they can build around. And then they just need to focus on building around the whole team except the quarterback. And then once Jared Goff's contract is up, go for a better franchise quarterback. I don't think Jared Goff is really a franchise quarterback. He can win you games, but he's not going to be that quarterback to put you over the edge for a Super Bowl. And if that's your goal as a franchise, if the Lions want to stop being a mediocre franchise like they have always been, you need to build your defense and offense. And then once Jared Goff is done with his big contract, get rid of him, or maybe like he has a year left on his contract, maybe trade him. Or if he does have trade value, it might be better just to trade him at that point. Or just once his contract is up, get a better quarterback. It'll open up so much cap space because Jared Goff's contract it's humongous. It's a big one. So the fact that they have a chance at right now building their team like they can, it's awesome. And this second pick in the draft is going to be a lot because they can get a generational talent, and that's what they need to start building on, is getting, good players. They just need to focus on hitting at everything, at free agency and the draft. I don't think they're really going to get many good players in free agency. They might be able to, because of Jared Goff's contract. Their cap room can maybe be a little bit capped out at points probably. So I would say if I'm the Lions, focus more on the draft and getting players through there, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of players in free agency that are going to want to come to Detroit and play for them until they maybe get a good team. And then you can go after, like I said, a good quarterback once. It only takes like 2 years. I think Jared Goff has after the season, I think he has 2 more years on his massive contract. I could be wrong. I think it's 2 or 3 years. It's around there, but just take those 2 and 3 years, build a great team. You seem like you guys have a good head coach to build upon, and that's awesome, because when a team knows that they have a coach that they like and they feel like they can win with, all they have to worry about now is building the correct team to win football games. And that's awesome. You see other teams, the reason they can't put together a winning season most of the time, it's not because of the team that they have built. And sometimes it is, but there's times where the coach is holding the team back. And that's like what we see with the Broncos. Okay, they just fired Vic Fangio, and for an example, the Broncos went 7-10. They've had a losing record all of his 3 years coaching them. And if he was a good enough coach, the defense is stacked for the Broncos. They're a great defense. The fact that they only could get 7 wins with the defense that they have is crazy. He's a defensive defensive coach. Gosh, my English is bad today. He's a defensive-minded coach, and yet the only fact that he got 7 wins is kind of mind-boggling for what kind of defense he had. They were negative home, they were negative at away games. They couldn't pull together a stretch. They were winning football games at the beginning of the season. They were 3-0. But the reason they couldn't win football games for the rest of the time he was there is because they couldn't put together an offense, and they didn't have the right quarterback. And also Vic Fangio, his offense, he doesn't have a good offensive scheme. They couldn't get a good offensive coordinator, and they just couldn't get it right. If your team has a good coach, that coach will find any way to be able to pull your team out of the fire. It's like the Dolphins. Brian Flores, even though he got fired, the Dolphins were 0-7. He was able to bring them together and pull together an 8-game win streak. That's what a coach does. He's able to take a roster that isn't as good as others, but he's able to help that team and put together a team that will fight every single week for these wins. And that's what I believe Dan Campbell is doing with the Lions currently. And if you guys agree or don't agree, comment below. I want to see what your guys' opinions are on Dan Campbell and what the Lions are doing. But like I said, I'm pretty excited for the Lions' future personally, and I hope this time they can actually rebuild the team as well as I think they can. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.